Hey guys, Yuvraj here from the Brainstorm Force team, makers of the Astra theme for WordPress. And a simple and quick question for you guys. What if you bought a car, but you never maintained your car? What do you think will happen? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Your car's performance will go down very soon, and there's a very good chance or likelihood that your car will eventually break down. Well, the same thing happens to websites as well. Most people start websites, set up websites, but never take the time and care to maintain their websites. And then they wonder why their website doesn't perform as well or why it continuously breaks down. Well, that's the thing that I'm going to take care of in this video, because in this video, I'm going to give you 15 powerful tips that you can start using today to maintain your WordPress website. And these are pretty simple and easy tips to follow for anyone. So no matter how technically skilled you are, you can start performing these steps today and no money will be spent today. Every tip I'm going to give you is completely free for you to implement on your website. So let's start with the video with tip number 1. So my number 1 tip, or my first step on the WordPress maintenance checklist, would be to open up your website. Now you might think that this is pretty obvious, right? Everybody opens their website, but you might be surprised at the number of people who actually never look at the front end of their website, including I've done this mistake myself, so I can't blame anybody else. Because as a publisher, as a content creator, or as a website maintenance guy, I usually just log into the backend of my website and start doing the stuff I need to do, but I never take the time to actually check out my website. And what happens is, if you don't spend enough time on the front end of your website, you might miss out on really obvious things that your customers or potential visitors might see, but you might miss out. So here I have the Astra blog open, and what I usually do is whenever I have the time, I'll just go to the Astra website. I look at all the things right here. Everything is up to date. Everything looks perfect. I'll go to the different pages and see everything looks great. This is the kind of same things that you should be doing on your website. And or the only limitation, I say, don't limit yourself or don't limit the viewing process to just desktops. You can visit or you should be visiting your website through different kinds of devices as well, including mobile phones, tablets. And if you don't have all those gadgets lying around, you can use the browser's built-in tools to check out your website in different resolutions. For example, I have the Astra blog open up here in a responsive view in a specific aspect ratio. I can change that aspect ratio, just taking a look at how my website actually reacts. And if you are looking for a professional solution to do this, then there's a beautiful service by the name of Browser Stack. It's an enterprise solution, but there's a free tier or free version of free trial that you can use and start testing your website on different devices. And this will, or this website or this service will automate that process for you. So that's my number 1 tip for today. WordPress maintenance tip number 2 that I have for you today is to back up your website, and most importantly, own that backup or have a copy of that backup yourself. Because I've seen this horror story play out a lot of times. People don't own their copy of their own backups, and they rely on their hosting company to back up their website for them. Now, most hosts or reputed hosts will do a great job at doing daily backups offsite as well. But I've seen horror stories play out, like the entire hosting company went down or they went out of business, and then people were just completely lost their websites and their businesses overnight. So that's something that I don't want to happen to you. That is why it's very important to regularly back up your website. And with a free plugin like the Updraft Plus that I'm going to recommend to you that you use on your website, it's pretty easy. Using Updraft Plus, you can not only just take a backup of your website, it can automatically upload that backup to an FTP server, to Dropbox, even Google Drive, all for free. So start backing up your website today. And just to give you a sneak peek at what we are planning, we are doing a comparison video on the different backup plugins that you can use for your website, because there are plenty of other good plugins out there. So watch out for that and make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications if you want to watch that video. So step number 3 that I would recommend in the WordPress maintenance checklist that you follow religiously is to change or update your passwords frequently. Now, it's pretty obvious that outdated passwords, easy to guess passwords, very short passwords are one of the most easiest ways for hackers to gain access to your website. And once they gain access to your website, they can practically do anything to your website. They can take it down, they can change the content, redirect your website's traffic to malicious websites. And you might not even realize this has happened until it's too late. And even if you fix your website pretty fast, you will probably be punished by Google. You lose trust in your customers, and generally it's not a good thing. And the best part is very easy to just change all of this or change your password on your WordPress website. All you have to do is log into your website, go to users, profile, and just come down here to this section, set a new password and just save that password, and then you will have a strong password. And WordPress does a great job at recommending strong passwords as well. And if you're interested in hardening the security of your website, we've already done a video about it, how to prevent your websites or safeguard your websites against hackers. And in that video, I specifically recommend that you can use two-factor authentication on your website, and also highlighted the steps on how to actually start implementing two-factor authentication on your website. So make sure to check out that video. I'll leave a link down in the description. That's step number 3 for you. So step number 4 on the WordPress maintenance checklist is the step I would recommend the most, and that is to update your themes, plugins, and WordPress itself on a regular basis. Now, I'm not recommending that you have to update to every single version that comes out, because those are really bleeding edge fixes, or updates can be buggy as well. But don't ignore the updates. That's what I'm trying to say, because a lot of times you'll have bug fixes in your products, or a lot of times there'll be security patches as well. And that's very important to keep on top of. For example, we recently reported that one of the most popular SEO plugins, SEO Press, had a security vulnerability, but kudos to the team, they fixed it pretty easily, or I say very quickly and on time. And even the security company that discovered the issue reported the issue after it was publicly fixed for almost 2 weeks. But let's say you didn't open up your website and didn't update your themes and plugins for a month. So your plugin or your setup might have plugins or themes that are vulnerable for security risk, or that they might be putting your website at risk. So it's important once in a while to log into your website and perform all the updates. For example, I am right now in my WordPress backend, and as you see, most of my websites, plugins, and themes are up to date. But let's say I want to update a theme. It's as simple as just clicking this button right here, and the theme or the plugin that you want to update will be updated. And WordPress now also has an auto update feature. If you are really worried about any kind of security vulnerability, I would recommend that you turn it on, and then be worry free. All updates will be applied automatically. And just one fact, we are also planning to do a video on complete guide to WordPress automatic updates. When should you turn it on? When should you turn it off? How should you configure it? All the good stuff. So make sure you subscribe to that as well. So that is step number 4 on the WordPress maintenance checklist for you. So step number 5 on the WordPress maintenance checklist would be to delete content. I don't mean delete all the content on your website, but over time, your WordPress website will start accumulating a lot of content that you can easily get rid of. And the content can be outdated pages and posts, maybe drafts of your posts, multiple revisions of your pages and posts, and also comments that can be classified as spam, or maybe comments in the trash. So you can delete all that content to make your website just clean of junk. Just as you would clean your car on a regular basis to keep it smelling fresh and feeling great, you should clean all the stuff from your website just to keep it clean and feeling fresh. Just for example, I have this test website set up, and I'm doing a great job on the update section, that you can tell. And coming here, I have tons of comments that I need to approve. I have tons of comments in spam, and also a lot of comments in trash. If I delete all these comments, go back to my post and see all the posts that are outdated, or if they make sense on my website, I can start deleting that content, or maybe update the content. So this will keep my website clean, spam free, and it will just be a nice thing to just log into my website and see a completely clean and fresh website. So that's step number 5 for you. Step number 6 on the WordPress maintenance checklist is to respond to your comments. So if you see on this test website that I've set up, I have a lot of comments that I have yet to respond to. And it's typically rude of you to not respond to comments, at least to a reasonable level. Let's say, for example, somebody walks up to you and starts asking you questions. Would you just ignore them and walk away? That's how your visitors probably feel when they leave a comment and you didn't respond. Now, if you left a comment on this video and I never responded, you will feel bad, right? But I do respond to all comments, so you can't blame me for that. So that's one thing you should need to do. Respond to all the comments, because your content on your website is a two-way street, right? It can spark up a great conversation. Maybe people are trying to get help. So make sure that you can respond to all the comments that you reasonably can. If you have a lot of comments coming on your website, maybe it's not practical for you to do so. But if you have a small number of comments, make sure to reply each of those comments to make your visitors feel valued. So step number 7 on the WordPress maintenance checklist would be to check your forms. I can't tell you the number of times I have tried to get in touch with someone who owns a website through their contact form, just to find out that the contact form just doesn't work. When I submit, I get an error. Sometimes there's some required fields that I can't just fill in, or there's some sort of issue with the form itself, or sometimes the form just wouldn't load up. It just shows up a shortcode. And that's very embarrassing for the website owner, I would assume so. And it's also losing out a lot of opportunity because people are trying to get in touch with you for a reason. Maybe it's a business opportunity, maybe they're a potential customer. So make sure that every form on your website works perfectly fine. For example, I'm on the Astra website right now, and as you can see, we have a support form where we can ask questions, or you can just type in some fields, and then eventually once your question is not answered through the support forum, we'll take you to a support form where you can ask your question to the support staff. And we check this on a regular basis to make sure everything is working fine. And this is something that you should be doing on your website on a very regular basis. The more contact forms you have, the different places you embed your forms, the more important it is for you to keep track that every form on your website works as intended. Talking about step number 8 on the WordPress maintenance checklist is to check all the responses that you are receiving on your forms. Now, typically, if your form or your website is fairly popular and all the forms on your website are working, typically you'll start receiving some responses on your forms. Some of it might be spam, but some of it might be genuine queries. But if you never check it out, you will never know. So just to give you an example, I have this form submission page on my test website right here. And as you can see, all the submissions are now clear. That means I have taken the time to review the submissions, respond to the appropriate queries, and also deleted the submissions just to keep everything clear. So this is what you should be doing on your website as well. Make sure that whatever form plugin that you use, it just collects all the details, or usually all the form plugins will collect all the details or responses to all the forms in a singular place. So make sure you check them out on a regular basis and make sure that none of the important queries that you're getting on your website is ignored for a long period of time. Step number 9 on the WordPress maintenance checklist that I would recommend you do regularly is to check for broken shortcodes on your WordPress website. Now, shortcodes are I say, very important part of WordPress. And the classic editor, that means the good old days, shortcodes were a huge important thing. And any important plugin that added any kind of visual elements to the page would usually use a shortcode. So what typically happened, I'll share a personal story here, that a lot of times it happens that sometimes you update a plugin, maybe a plugin itself is broken, maybe you change a plugin and you forget that you've added a lot of content on your website using the shortcode. And the personal story that I was talking about, a popular plugin that I used, I won't take the name of the plugin, changed their functionality a little bit in an update and I didn't notice. That was completely on me. And what happened was I was using that plugin on literally every page of my website using a shortcode. And imagine my horror when I noticed many weeks later that all the pages, critical functionality on my pages was broken just because I didn't pay attention. I don't want that to happen to you. That's why I would recommend that you use this plugin called Shortcode Cleaner Lite. This is a plugin that after my research, I found the most value for money. It's a free product, of course, but there's a premium version as well. And what this plugin does, it scans your website for broken shortcodes in, almost all the areas of your website. So it'll look at it in the widgets, it'll look at it in the footer, the menus, the pages, the posts, and then it will report it, and then you can start fixing those issues. So to save yourself some embarrassment, save yourself, I'd say, a lot of business, because sometimes critical functionality behind a shortcode might be broken and then you might lose out on business. Use this plugin on your website. I'd say use it on a regular basis. You don't have to keep the plugin installed. Only install it when you need to check your website, and then save yourself the trouble of finding broken shortcodes on your website manually. So this is a pro tip for you. Step number 10 that I would recommend you take in maintaining your WordPress website is to check for broken links and fix 404 errors on your website on a regular basis. Now, technically, we recently did a video on how to fix 404 errors on your website, but I'll just repeat some of the information I already shared in that video. So a 404 page is a page like this, where somebody tries to open up a link on your website which does not exist, and then they're taken to a page like this. Now, sometimes this is easily fixable, or sometimes the links that they are trying to access can be mistypes of a genuine link, and that's what you want to fix. So I'll give you a couple of solutions on how to fix 404 errors. The easiest way would be to use your SEO plugin. As I mentioned in the old video, some SEO plugins do offer the functionality to detect 404 errors, and then you have the option of fixing them directly from the plugin itself. So if you are facing these kinds of issues on your website, I would recommend go check out that video. I recommended great resources on that in that video, where I talk about how to fix your errors. But if you're just looking to find broken links on your website instead of 404 errors, there are a couple of plugins that you can try out. So my recommended plugin for fixing or finding broken links was the Broken Link Checker. Unfortunately, that hasn't been updated in some time. So the second best plugin I would say that I've tested out and works perfectly is the Broken Link Checker Finder by Mini Orange. Mini Orange, we have recommended one of their plugins in a previous video, which was two-factor authentication. Make sure to check that video out as well. It's a pretty amazing video. I'll leave a link down in the description. So they have this plugin for finding broken links on your website. So you can start using this to find all the links that are broken and then start fixing them, maybe redirecting them to other pages, or maybe fixing the links themselves if the links exist on your website. So that's tip number 10 for you. Step number 11 that I recommend everybody should perform on their WordPress website as part of their regular maintenance activity is to optimize the database of your website. Just to give you an example, I just recently did this training, which is pretty awesome, by the way, where I raised this specific point as well about optimizing databases on your website. And I compared the process of optimizing your database to maintaining the engine of your car. If you take your car to a mechanic to get the engine checked and he finds nothing wrong, then that's a good thing. And if he just tweaks a little bit and you don't see massive performance improvements, that's also a good thing. That means everything is working as intended already. If he finds something wrong and he fixes a lot of things on a regular basis, that's a bad sign. So similar thing I can tell you for WordPress maintenance as well, or specifically the database optimization. What happens is a lot of people expect a lot of big changes happening to the database, or I say massive performance improvements when they optimize the database. But usually when nothing happens, or if you don't see massive improvements, that's also a great sign. So to optimize the database on your website, something like this, or WP Optimize is one plugin that I highly recommend. This is a pretty awesome plugin with massive, I'd say, a large number of reviews and ratings. It's a very highly rated plugin. So I suggest you check it out. Another plugin that I would recommend is called the Advanced Database Cleaner. And this is also a fantastic plugin. It doesn't matter what plugin you use actually, just performing this on a regular basis is more important. And to give you a personal story, I used to have a website which didn't give me any problems for a very long time until it did. And just one day I tried to log into my website and I just couldn't log into my website. The admin area became slow, so slow that it took me around 10 minutes after clicking the login button to just see the admin area. And I tried to get in touch with my hosting company, try to get it fixed, and eventually couldn't figure out for days what went wrong. And then eventually I figured out by just hook and crook, I'd say, that the database had some issues. And then once I fixed the database, my website was back to normal in just like that. So that's what I'm trying to explain with the database optimization part. If you ignore it, nothing will go wrong for a very long time until the check engine light comes on. And when the check engine light comes on your website, you're going to feel the pain. So don't be like me and optimize your database regularly using these plugins on your website. So that's tip number 11 for you. Step number 12 that I recommend everybody should do on a regular basis as part of their maintenance checklist is to check your Google Search Console reports. Now, if you don't know what Google Search Console is, it's a free service or a tool by Google where you can connect your website with Search Console, and then you'll find all the technical issues that might be wrong with your website, or you can just check the data about how your website is performing from a technical standpoint, from an SEO standpoint, and also how it's ranking well in Google search results. Just to give you an idea, this is another test site that I have, and there's a lot of data right here in the Search Console data or Search Console tool. But what you should be looking at is security issues, page experience, core web vitals, which is a more recent thing, and also looking at pages that have some sort of issues. Again, just to give you, or I can't give you a lot of details without making this video too long, but we are planning videos around Search Console where we'll give you detailed tutorials around what reports to look at, how to interpret these reports, and what numbers would be more important to you. So if you have any kind of questions, or if you're interested in any of the topics that I've just mentioned that we'll be doing videos on, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section of this video mentioning which of the topics you would like to see first, and we'll prioritize those videos for you, because every video that we make is for you. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see educational videos just like this one. So Search Console, lot of data here. Just make sure to check it regularly for major issues, and definitely once you watch our future upcoming videos when we do them, when they published on our channel, you'll have more ideas on what data to look for, how to optimize your website based on the information that you receive inside Google Search Console. That's tip number 12 for you. Step number 13 that I recommend everybody should do as part of their regular maintenance activities on their website is to check if their content or your content is up to date. Now, what do I mean by up to date? Just let me give an example, a practical example. This is the Astra's blog. We push out a lot of content. So we make sure that every piece of content we push out is up to date from that day. And of course, if there are any changes that happen, for example, we do a lot of WordPress tutorials. So anytime an update rolls out with WordPress, we make sure to update the content with latest changes. Also, we also look at the design changes. For example, if we change our corporate branding strategy a little bit, maybe we use a different color palette, we make sure to change everything, the thumbnails, the graphics that we use inside blog posts to make sure that the branding is on point. And you should be using the same things or following the same steps on your website just to have a great impression on your website's readers. And if you're not already subscribed to our email list, you should, because we send out some amazing content just like this one, just you can see right here, amazing blog posts, and you can be learning a lot about WordPress if that's something you would want to. So I'll leave a link down in the description where you can head out or head to our blog and then subscribe to our email list as well. So that's the pro tip for you. Step number 14 that you should be regularly performing on your WordPress website is to optimize your images on a regular basis. Now, if you add images to your website regularly, you might have to do this on a regular basis. But if you haven't optimized your images in a long time, you might want to spend some time optimizing images, because images are one of the biggest, heaviest items on a web page, and images can really slow down your website if your images are not optimized. And we already did a video in the past about how to serve images in next gen formats. That means using formats or the newer gen image formats that reduce the size of the image. That means improving your performance on your website. And we have done a complete video about this. And we also compared some, I'd say, image compression plugins on our blog recently. And we found out that one of the best plugins to do this is Imagify. And as you can see, we have we tested this out and we saw the best results. So even in this video, I recommend Imagify. You should be using this on your website because it serves images in next-gen formats and also compresses them and optimizes them for you. Next-gen image formats include WebP as well. So Imagify, a completely freemium service. That means you don't have to pay to get started. It's a free service, I think, for approximately 200 to 250 megabytes. Don't quote me on that. It might have changed in recent times. Let me also check the pricing page. So you can use this plugin on your website or service on your website, because technically the images that are optimized go on their servers to be optimized. So 20 megabytes per month. I'm really sorry about that. 20 megabytes per month includes, I'd say, if you just calculate on a random basis, if image is around 200 kilobytes in a JPG file, that means that hundreds of images can be optimized in the free plan of Imagify. And as I mentioned, Imagify free also includes WebP conversion. So not only you can compress and optimize your images, but Imagify can also convert your images to WebP. That means they'll use even less space without losing quality. That means amazing performance on your website, which will help you not only rank higher typically, but also score great on the Google's new Core Web Vitals metrics that have been the rage recently. So that's tip number 14 for you. So the final step for the day, or step number 15 that I would recommend everybody should be doing on their website, is to regularly check the logs of your website. Now, what do I mean by logs, or what does the term logs mean? It's just a fancy way of saying records. What records am I talking about? Records for everything that changes on your website. That means a post was published, comment was answered, deleted, post was deleted. Everything that happens on your website can be recorded, and you should be taking a look at it. This is especially true if you're working with a lot of freelancers. Maybe you have a design agency working for you. Maybe you have a lot of employees working for you, and all of those people make changes. Now, what can happen is people can make mistakes. They might get poor communication and do something they were not supposed to do. Maybe some people have malicious intent and they do something that they were not supposed to do on your website. You will never know if those records were not in place. And then once you have the records, it's also easy for you to find and fix issues fast without having downtime on your website. So where do these records come from? WordPress doesn't take them natively, but you have some simple plugins that you can use on your website. For example, this is one plugin called Simple History. And once you install this plugin, it will start collecting whatever happens on your website. Just to give you an idea of what this plugin records, I'll read out the description for you. This plugin works as a log history vault. Version history of most important events that occur in WordPress. Out of the box, Simple History has support for posts and pages. That means see who's added, updated, or deleted a post or page. Attachments, see who added, updated, or deleted an attachment. Taxonomies, comments, widgets, plugins, user profiles, user logins, failed user logins, menu edits, option screens, privacy page, data export, and other features. So everything that happens on your website, you will have a complete record of it. It's also great for accountability and also for fixing problems when they happen. Another great plugin, which is I'd say a little more extensive, is called WP Activity Log. And this is more of a security plus history plugin. So if security is something that you're concerned about, then you should be using this plugin instead of the history plugin. And I'd recommend you also check out the premium version of the plugin. They have a premium version as well. Again, the features are very similar, but it has a little more extensive feature set. I'll leave links down in the description for both of these videos, so you can check out both the plugins and make a call on what plugins or which of these plugins is more suitable to you. As I recommend, the choice of plugin is really up to you, but I still recommend, the recommendation from my end is to start logging or using any of these plugins to take logs on your website. And when you're talking about logs and also in terms of security, I'll also give a shout out to WordPress team. It's a fantastic plugin and service. You can install their plugin for free on your website and have tons of features on your website from a security perspective. It has two-factor authentication, it has traffic and rate limitation, it can track IPs that are trying to access a lot of pages, and a ton of different options. Plus, they also include their firewall for free, which can prevent security issues from your website, even though some of your plugins might get vulnerable or out of date due to security issues. So fantastic service, and they also have a security logging feature. So you can check out the logs from a security perspective if you need to, or if you want to, or if it makes sense to you. So that's my last tip of the day. Which of these tips did you find the most helpful? Make sure to leave that number in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. And if you liked this video, found some value in this content, don't shy away from hitting that like button as hard as you can. Also subscribe to our channel, hit that bell icon, choose the all button from the notifications option so that you can get notified about whenever we push out some amazing content. And again, if you have any feedback on any of these videos or topics that I mentioned that we'll be doing, make sure to leave that in the comments as well. I'll leave a couple of links to videos that you can watch after watching this video. Also leave a bubble right here to our icon, which you can click and subscribe to our channel. And then I'll see you in the next video. You're watching and listening to Yuvraj from the Brainstorm Force channel. Take care, stay safe, and have a lot of fun.